welcome once again to the Sage. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for the journeys you've undertaken with us. It's always been a pleasure. As usual, I am Dr. Kechi Obwago, a sage, a guide that considers herself blessed to have this privilege. This week, we have an issue, a topic, a theme that is so important. And yet, ironically, when it was first brought to my attention, I thought to myself, perhaps it didn't belong on this platform. And I think many of you, sometimes when you hear that topic, may have the same thoughts. I think I had it at a point. We are going to be discussing the issue of the elderly, the aging population in the world, but more specifically in our country. Their plight, their situation. You know, when we first thought of featuring it on the Sage, there were some who said, but the Sage, the C4C Conversations for Change, the organization, strives to empower young people. Discussing the issues of the elderly, does it come under that ambit? But you see, oftentimes when you challenge yourself with a question like that, is when the realities then begin to manifest and strike you. For me personally, for a few weeks after that question first came to my mind, it was as if I was being buffeted by the answer to that question. All the young people that I usually interact with as president of Conversations for Change, each person that I talked to manifested the issue, answered the question. For each and every one of them, the fate, the situation of their aging relatives was a major, major concern in their lives. There was one for whom she was having problems being able to move out of home so she could work more effectively because she felt she may be abandoning her aging mom in doing so. There was one for whom the primary drive towards her job was to earn enough so that her parents could feed themselves relatively comfortably. There was one for whom the issue of proximity was so important that he was afraid to relocate to another area where he would have better opportunities because of the aging mother he would leave behind. For many young people, it comes in various forms. Sometimes it even affects issues of marriage. Can I marry this person? Can I move to that town with a person? Because of the effect it may have on my family, on my aging parents. And so, yes, it's a crucial, crucial question for most young people. And I'm sure they agree with me. It affects their career choice. It affects the amount of time they think they can devote to their job, to their family. It affects everything. And so, yes, it is a prominent part of their concerns, of their lives. It is often a determinant, sometimes, of their future. And so, yes, the plight of the aging in our environment, in our world, is very much a subject of great interest to young people. But let me also say that for some of us who are indeed already the aging, like me, for instance, of course we're concerned about the plight of the aging. It is something we as the aging live with. The loss of our children, they've had to move out, our failing health, and so on and so forth. And whether we would have enough financially and otherwise to continue to be to live in a dignified manner. But no age sect is left out. The middle age, so to say, are also concerned. It's of great interest. In a few years' time, they will also fall into the category of the aging. So yes, the plight of the elderly, the plight of the aging is of importance, an importance that cuts across the board. No age group is excluded, and therefore needs to be discussed everywhere. So I have made my case, and I hope you agree with me. But having made that case, let's turn to the issue of statistics. How big is that problem? There are approximately 80 billion people in the world today. Those are the UN estimates. And it is estimated that perhaps about 9 to 10% of that 8 billion are over 60, 65. It is also estimated that by 2050, the population of those over 60 will actually grow from 12% to 22%, almost double. And so the reality is that the aging population in the world is growing. And in fact, that approximately 80% of that growing old age population will be found in low-income and middle-income countries, of which we in Nigeria belong. Our estimates say that about 5% of our 200 million people are over 60. And I would dare be bold enough to say it's an underestimation. By 2050, it's estimated that 25.3 million people in Nigeria would be within this category. That is a huge number. 25.3 million. Yes, it is a huge problem. And yet, compounding the problem is the fact that the care of the elderly, culturally for us in Africa and in most parts of Nigeria, had been the responsibility of family and extended family. And the sad reality is that that structure is breaking down of necessity, inevitably, because of many reasons. Globalization, technology, urbanization, and the need for more and more young people to go out into the urban areas to work, and so on and so forth. And even perhaps the decreasing number of children we're having. So many old people don't have the care that family used to provide in our history, in our tradition. We are also getting poorer, actually. And that means on the family level, we're often less equipped to deal with the issue, to cover their welfare. The pension scheme for those of the privileged elderly who have a pension leaves much to be desired, I'm sorry to say, in our country. We all know there have been stories, there have been reports of pensions that never get paid. Plus the fact that the pension itself is oftentimes much too small to cater for their needs. My last point on it would be to say that we, as far as I know at this point in time, don't have a social safety net as a country for our old people. Free medical services, as some countries have, is support in terms of financial support, monthly, weekly, or whatever, so they can live. Homes where, when it gets too bad, perhaps they can go and be cared for, and so on and so forth. So yes, it is an issue of importance that needs to be discussed. It is urgent. The numbers affected are huge. if effective care of them affects all of us, is all the responsibility of every age. And a great deal needs to be done to ensure that we take care of our aging population. Stay with me. We will take a break. And when we come back, we have an amazing, amazing guest who is an expert on this issue, who is totally, totally committed and totally passionate about it. Stay with us. We'll meet her. Welcome once again to the stage, and thank you for having been with us. As I promised in the last segment, we have an amazing lady here with us on set. She is totally passionate about the issues of aging, and we're very lucky to have her come in and accept to be with us. It is indeed my pleasure to introduce Dame May Ikokwu to the stage.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for having me.
May Ikokwu has a bachelor's degree in chemistry from Brandeis University, Waltham, Massachusetts, and she has a Master of Science degree in plastics engineering from the University of Lowell in Massachusetts. May worked with Monsanto Petrochemicals in the United States before relocating to Nigeria, where she worked with the Nigeria Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, for 25 years. She worked in various sectors of the corporation, but spent most years in the petrochemical sector and pipelines and product marketing company before her retirement in 2003. I must admit I have known May for many years, and therefore I have the privilege to say that indeed her zeal and hard work didn't stop with NNPC, but in fact intensified. And from what I know of her, she's done even a lot more work since retirement in 2003. She founded the non-governmental organization called Save Our Heritage Initiative, but more importantly, more related to our issue of today, is the fact that she's a member of the Board of Trustees, but before this was formerly the Secretary General of the Coalition of Societies for the Rights of Older Persons in Nigeria, popularly known as COSROPIN. The coalition's primary purpose is and continues to be to ensure that the lives of older persons are dignified and safeguarded, and that Nigeria has a bill that protects the rights and privileges of older persons. She is also a trustee of Senior Citizens and Elders Forum of Nigeria, an NGO that also promotes healthy living for the elderly through physical exercises and social interactions. May is a certified humanitarian fellow from the Institute of Humanitarian Studies and Social Development. Summing it up all, she's a passionate advocate for the well-being and the rights of the elderly. May, it's a pleasure to have you on the stage.
Thank you very much. You're welcome.
So great, we got you. We're excited. Thank you for the time you made out. Tell us, what got you into this? While many of us were still having old people in the back of our mind, somebody like me had to walk through the logic of even discussing it on the stage. What inspired you? How did you make this a passion?
Well, I speak for myself. I speak for many other people in the NGOs. You know, we have various non-governmental organizations and retirement organizations that look after the older person's interests. And what got most of us involved was personal experiences. Like for me, it was my mother who died at the age of 100.
Okay.
But from the age of 95, she always lived on her own. She lived in a big house. She would not move out from her house to go and live with any of her children. She preferred to be on her own. But she was getting weaker and weaker and weaker. And so my mother was left alone with these people who were sort of caring for her. If you call her on the phone, they are the ones answering the phone. They wouldn't let you talk with her. And at one time, I called and, how is Mama? Oh, Mama is okay. Mama is fine. I said, no, I want to speak with Mama. Let me give her the phone. The phone is for her. Let me speak with her. And when I spoke to her, her voice was very weak and faint. And I said, Mama, what's wrong? Mm-hmm. She said, I said, please give back the phone to one of, she had two looking after her. And they gave her back the phone. The caregiver collected the phone. And I said, what is wrong with her? She's not sound. He said, well, everything is okay. It's just that she hasn't eaten in 5 days. I said, 5 days. She hasn't eaten. And you are just sitting, two of them, just sitting and waiting and watching her die. And that really got me so angry. The family had to rally around, start hydrating her, so that she could come back. And she lived that was when she was 97. But from then on, she didn't walk anymore. She became bedridden. And she finally died at a little over 100. And it bothered me, I was afraid. How am I going to be when I get old? I need to be with people. We don't have nursing homes in Nigeria. We don't have assisted living homes where you can move into an apartment and be chatting with your friends, there. Our children are now overseas, most of them. Children overseas, grandchildren overseas. Who are you going to be relating with? It is beyond families to take care of people these days. Government has to step in and look after older persons. But then older persons are not just the same. They are not all weak.
Yeah. Some
are strong, continue being strong. But statistics, once you are 60, you drop off the screen. Yeah. Nobody looks at people over 60. It's like you
disappear.
You've disappeared from the screen. You no longer exist. And yet we exist.
And let me reiterate the things you have said, because when you say it, it resonates. For me, my own mom died at 93. My grandmom, her mother, died at 115.
Wow.
And what you're saying is so true. It continued to consume us in my family. We were 7 of us, about how to ensure that our mother had adequate care. Because inevitably, at a point, we all leave home. We make our own homes, and yet she needs to be looked after. And we were lucky that my sister lived close to her, one of my oldest sister. But even that, she had to have full-time care. So you're so right. It becomes a problem. No matter, it's not a problem money alone can solve. There's the issue of companionship and so on. And there's the issue of being able to supervise those people you're paying to look after her.
Going back to, the passion for it. Senior citizens suffer a lot of abuse in our society. Those who are being taken care of, you don't know what the so-called caregivers are doing to them. There's sexual abuse, like stripping them. Yes, there's sexual abuse. They strip them naked. They make them watch offensive things. There is financial abuse where they steal their money, or people even children will use the money, spend the money of their aged parents without the consult, without consulting them at all. That is financial abuse. People send money from overseas to their parents, never gets to them. You have those who beat, who flog, especially those that are incontinent. Like after they have cleaned them up, then the body gives way and they pass physics. You find the caregivers flogging them. And there's abuse of neglect. Even the children do it. It's like you no longer exist. You are left to communicate with the grandchildren. So all those abuses, and you find that only about 4% of the cases of abuse have been reported.
Okay.
Most don't report because if let's say your mother is there, you visit her, she has been abused, she won't tell you because you will stay with her maybe 1 or 2 days, you are gone, and she's left again with those people.
With those people who have control.
Who have
power
control over
her.
her. So as long as you are not there all the time, she will never tell you what is happening.
It's almost gruesome. Let me stop you because the things you have shared, the real things that are indeed happening to our mothers and our grandmothers there in the community is heartbreaking, but they're so real. But let me stop you and say that it is happening to all of us. I'm sure each and everybody, including our audience, have had an experience of this. If not directly your parents, then your auntie, your grandparent, and so on and so forth. And say that I am familiar, and as I had mentioned that earlier in the program, that many countries have safety nets for their elderly. Many provide medical services. In the US, there's Medicaid and Medicare as you're getting older. In the UK, there's the National Health Insurance. You can put your parent in a good, well-cared for home and be visiting them while professionals look after them. What do we have in Nigeria?
Well, in Nigeria, we don't have so many places to take care of older persons because of the mindset of the Nigerians. If you were to take your parent to old person's home or to a nursing home, they will think, oh, you are neglecting your parent. So in Nigeria, we have some old people's homes, a few of them, in Abuja, in Lagos, in Ibadan, scattered like that all over the country. But then in Abuja here, we have a nursing home, a proper nursing home with doctors in attendance. It's like home away from home,
okay.
Which was established by a young lady who is not up to 60 years old, but because of her passion, based on her early experience also with a parent, then she decided to go into this field.
But how many can she take in? How big is her facility?
Her facility, she has a series of bungalows, I think she can, I wouldn't say for her. There are people who established centers for dementia because of family cases they had. It is part of growing old that some people start losing their minds.
Yeah,
and as children, we used to laugh at them. We made fun of them. And that was a very sad thing. So such people have set up centers like that, where they're taking care of people who are suffering from dementia, from Alzheimer's, and also teaching the society about those. Actually, most of what we are doing is sensitization, to sensitize the populace so that they will know the problem of the older persons. And coming to aging, everybody ages. Aging is not just for people. Everybody, see, the minute you are born, you begin to age. So aging is not 60 years and above. No, aging is from day one. From day one, you begin to age. And we are trying to teach people, and this body you have grows with you for life. There are some ailments you get at 5 years or 3 months that we carry on till you die. So we want to teach people how to preserve this body so that when you grow into older, beyond 60, you will still have a body that is aging gracefully. Because if you live a reckless life when you are young, it will tell when you are older. So some of our organizations...
Usually when I hear things I think need to be re-emphasized, I stop my guests. So hold your thoughts, because I want to turn to my many young viewers out there and say, these are pearls of wisdom. May is saying, this body that you have now, that appears invincible, where you party, you come back, the next day you can get up and go and so on, is actually the body you will die with. And that what you do to it today determines the quality of a body you will have when you fall into the classification of the aging or the aged. So that be careful, that living strong and healthy in your old age begins now.
And it says, Eat your food like medicine. If you don't eat it like medicine now, when you are older, your food will become medicine. Every day you have so many bottles and bottles and bottles of pills to be taken. So you have to take care of your body, eat correctly, exercise, do all the right things. We didn't say you shouldn't have fun. Have fun, but with moderation.
Yes, with moderation, recognizing that a well-balanced diet with plenty of vegetables and fruits regularly is the medicine that taking now will ensure a healthy body for
later
tomorrow.
on. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Amazing, amazing. We're going to talk more. I mean, when I think about it, I'm awed myself. Perhaps I should have had this talk with you some 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Never mind. I'm pulling your legs because I'm a doctor. I should have known. I've known all this all along. But it is, the right time for many of our audience. And so it begins today. Healthy, good, quality aging begins today.
Yes.
The fact remains, however, that there are many, many people, like you called it, a small country within the country Nigeria, of the aged, who have big issues, big problems right now. You have described some excellent initiatives in Abuja, for instance, in the very urbanest of our urban centers, but it is a tip of the iceberg. The vast majority of our elderly don't have access to that.
Yes.
So we will continue the discussion by now focusing on that.
Okay.
What needs to be done? What are you already doing? Because in the end, that is what makes this discussion useful. Coming to talk about problems alone is never a useful discussion. And so to our viewers, the most useful part is coming. Thank you for having been with us. Please remember to join us next week when our dear May Ikokwu will tell us the wonderful efforts they are already making to make this urgent need, to solve this urgent problem. And where we will also discuss a bit more in detail about what needs to be done and be done today. Stay with us. Join us again next week. Thank you for having been with us.